And that is mighty cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from high top Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together where we bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. And, guys, welcome to Thursday night, March the 6th in the year of our good Lord, 2025. And I hope you're hearing me tonight because I got a lot to say, I think. We've been struggling a little bit lately on topics, and it's the end of the football season. It ain't anything to talk about in music. It's just not. I don't know. I got maybe Slayer is going to do a couple things extra. They're reuniting, I guess, or getting together for the Black Sabbath final show. I believe it this summer. But there's just nothing. So, but Jeff is struggling to get his computer up and running. So I got a few minutes. I want to do a little politics for you. So buckle up, buttercups. If you don't like it, shut me off. Come back in about 10 minutes. But I'm going to talk a little politics. Okay. Any of you guys who stayed awake to watch the congressional speech by Donald Trump the other day saw a couple of things. So a very long speech, an hour and 40 minutes. I stayed for all of it. Okay. We saw it laid out, what the plan is, how he's intended to get there. For the most part, you may not agree with everything, but you have to admit, the guy is he's 78. He's up there for an hour and 40 minutes straight. Okay. Talking away, improvising, dealing with the hecklers. You got to give the man credit. All right, whether you like him or not. He's got a plan. Whether you like the plan or not, he told you beforehand, if you elect me, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to create Doge. I'm going to trim the government down. I'm going to shut the border, which he's done in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, okay? He told you he was going to try and pass tax reforms for no tax on tips, Social Security, and overtime. He's trying. So everything he said he was going to do, he's trying. So at the very least, you got to give the guy credit for saying, hey, you told me you were going to do it, and you're trying to do it. Whether you like it all or not, that's a different story. You maybe don't agree on his tax plan. Maybe you don't like his economic plan. That's fine. That's every president. There's stuff that Trump does that I'm not a fan of. But in the big picture, you got to say, hey, what a big difference 4 years made. Now, I said this to somebody the other day at work. If you had tuned in, if Trump had won a second term immediately, it would never have looked like this. He needed Joe Biden to be in office for 4 years. He needed the specter of Kamala Harris to maybe beat him in a general election for people to truly understand and appreciate. Yes, he can be difficult. Yes, he's this and that. Yes, he's narcissistic, and everybody who runs for president is a narcissist. Let's get that fact out straight. Every single one of them. Yes, he's done low-life stuff. So is Bill Clinton. Nobody was a bigger perv than JFK, and they are both adored at this point in their lives. Okay? So please don't give me anything about that crap. So give the man credit for at least, he said, I'm going to do this, and this, and he's doing it. So whether you like it or not, at least give the man that credit. Now, watching the speech the other night, typical speech, except the fact that the Democrats decided to be a bunch of children. And you know what, guys? I've said it before on the show. I'll say it for a very long time. I voted Democrat. I voted Republican. I've not voted at all in some elections. At this point in my life, it would be a major shock if I ever voted for Democrats. First off, they put out a bill this week, and they're trying to they're trying to get a law passed where biological men cannot compete in women's sports at the collegiate level and below. Okay, well, professional sports probably outside the purview of that. But college sports, a biological man should not be able to. And I think most normal, rational people would agree with that. So they have a vote. You need 60 people to vote. 60 senators have to agree. Do you understand? 50, whatever it is, 52, 53 senators on the Republican side all signed. They all signed it. Not one senator of the Democrats could sign that bill. Now, you know what, guys? I get it if you hate the man, you hate the president. I get it, whatever. But there's got to be, if you're the Democrats, there's got to be something on your end that you could say, hey, we can get behind this because the American people are watching. They're watching you go against that. They're watching you go against trimming the government. Did you listen to the list of things that we were paying? He said the other night, I thought it was the funniest one. He said they actually spent $8 million, the government. They agreed to spend $8 million to make mice transgender. Now, you say, well, $8 million in America in the government budget, what's the difference? Think if you took that $8 million and you put it towards something useful, veteran homelessness, right? Put it toward the military. Give it to cops. Buy them all vests. Buy all the cops in the United States their uniforms. Something. But that's what you're spending the money on. How anybody can not get behind some of these things. They had a 13-year-old cancer victim who wanted to be nothing more than be a cop, and they made him an honorary Secret Service man. It was like a Make-A-Wish thing. The Dems couldn't even stand up and clap for that. They couldn't clap for the young mom whose daughter was savagely assaulted and killed, and they named a park after her because she loved animals. If you're the Dems, you got to get a message. You need a messenger, and you don't have that, but you need a message. What are you for? Because all the things you're for, 80% of the United States, the public, Democrats, Republicans, and independents are against it. They are for the border being closed. They are for biological men not playing in women's sports by overwhelming margins. At what point do the Democrats learn you can't just be resistant and anti-Trump? It doesn't work. People are tired of it. And yeah, you can say, oh, well, egg prices are still high. Gas prices are still high. So it took 4 years to get there. 4 years you took to get to where we are right now. You thought you were going to come in and wave a magic wand and it was going to be gone? Please. He handled Zelensky, kicked him in his ass and threw him out. Why? And now people say, well, do we want to keep paying for a war so that the Ukrainians can live off our money? So they could take money, pay their politicians, pay their bills. For what? To keep a war going that millions of people are dying and nobody's gaining anything from? Trump did the right thing. We're not giving you a nickel. You're all going to get together. We're going to figure this out. So if you're out there and you're anti-Trump, good for you. I hope you'll enjoy the next 4 years of the success that we may get to have. But if you're the Democrats, that you ain't running on that. People are not going to vote. They're tired of it. And the big thing is they've seen the difference. They saw 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden, and they said, wait a second. And right now, the Dems, they don't have an answer. They don't know who the next person is going to be. They're going to run Kamala out there again. Gavin Newsom, who couldn't probably get elected in his own state right now. So the Dems have a big problem, and they were an embarrassment Tuesday night. What they did was a national embarrassment. And I will tell you, folks, it'll be another generation before I'd even think about voting for a Democrat. The person who I would probably vote for might not even be eligible to run for office. So I will just tell you, it's a disgrace. Hey, Will Cloak, it was a disgrace to watch. And again, my message to the Democrats, get yourself a message. Whatever it is, right now, what you stand for, the things that you are, the Ukrainian war, people, the United States, the Americans are not for it. Transgender, biological mess playing in women's sports, Americans are not for it. So do yourselves a favor. Find a real message. Maybe even find something that you can get along with Trump about. and say, hey, you know what? We disagree on 90% of things, but we can get behind these couple of things. And you know what? Show the American people that you can come to the table, but you can't do it. And this group can't. They have no leader. They have no idea, and they won't win. They will not win another election until they figure it out. So I'm happy for that because I can't. There's not a Democrat I would vote for. So keep watching The View. Keep watching MSNBC. Keep following the hate because I would rather Trump and whatever successors he has. So that's my political rant of 11 minutes. Thank you for listening. If you didn't listen, tough luck. You should have listened. In the meantime, let's get the show kicked off. Jeff is still, I think he's there. Let's see if he's up and running. In the meantime, welcome to Thursday night. How we doing over there, Kingpin? He's frozen. Jeff? Jeff? Oh, Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Billy Graz. That's my man right there, Billy Graz. Billy Graz stands up for everybody against the morons of social media. Thank you, Billy Graz. I love reading your responses, and I love when they just have nothing to say to you, Billy. So keep it up. Love it. Frankie Katz, welcome back. We missed you last week, Frankie Catalano. So again, guys, thanks for listening to my political rant. If you're a Democrat and you need some advice, see Billy Graz. He will teach you. And maybe you want to come over to the semi-dark side. Whatever you got to do. But in the meantime, we got a lot to talk about. We'll talk a little Yankees, little Mets right now. We'll talk. I got some Giants and Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about the. Let's see what else. Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary, which I thought sucked. Let's see what else we got on my list here. Jimmy Johnson retires. Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame now that he's dead. NFL news and notes. The combine is useless. And that's it. So I ain't got a lot to talk with. Slayer playing some shows other than the final Sabbath gig. So stick around, hang around. Jeff will be back. Hopefully to get his computer up and running. Meanwhile, I'll bring my pops on, see what he's got to say, and then we'll kick into the show big time. So hang in there. What's up, Pop? What's going on?
What's up, Tom? How you doing?
All right, Pop. Just another Thursday night, trying to get through all of this. What's going on?
Yeah, I could say.
What's the good word? What do you got on
No,
your
I didn't know Pete Rose. Did they elect him yet?
No. Somebody submitted a lawyer on behalf of his family, I believe, submitted an application for reinstatement. So the first thing that has to happen is baseball has to reinstate him into the game. So they have to allow that Pete Rose allowed in the game, and then he can be put back on the ballot to be voted in. So the first step was put in. I don't think it's been answered yet. So I believe he will get in the Hall of Fame in the next couple of years.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah, I think that they would, because of his arrogance and all that, they just were not going to let him have that distinction and write it on a piece of paper. So they were going to wait till he died before they'd even consider it. So I think now it'll happen. It might not happen this year, but it'll happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
and rightfully so.
Well, it was his arrogance that kept him out.
Well, of course, the lies for many years, and then it was the arrogance of it.
Well, the lies I can live with, because that's natural. They tell you just deny. But his arrogance in the way he presented everything.
Yes.
Like he was doing everybody, and the way he publicized himself, the batting champ.
Yeah. Well,
you have to tell people how big you are. Then you're not big.
I get it from his. I never considered Pete Rose the best player I ever saw. I never even considered Pete Rose the best hitter I ever saw.
No.
But if you add in, he won a bunch of championships between the Phillies and the Reds. He was a decent fielder, but then again, if you think about it, what was his real position? Was it first base? Was it third base? Was it outfield? He was a better than average fielder, and he wasn't a home run hitter. So the guy was a good singles hitter, and he hustled. So Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Probably. Yes. Is it a no-brainer? Yes. Will I be able to put my head on the pillow tonight if Pete Rose doesn't get in the Hall of Fame? Yes. That's it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah.
Think about that. You saw his whole career, right? When Pete Rose was playing at any point in his career, did you say, hey, that guy's the best player in baseball?
No, not at all.
Right? He wasn't even the best player on his team.
No.
When he played for the Reds, Morgan was a better player. Bench was a better player, right? When he played,
Perez was a better.
All right.
Perez.
When he played for the Phillies, Mike Schmidt was a better player.
Yeah.
So again, this is not to knock Pete Rose. I think he did something that only one other person did. He had 4,000 hits in his career. Great hitter. He played a long time, and yeah, I would put him in the Hall of Fame. But at no point would I say he was in the top 5 of any era that I remember him playing in. So, he wasn't better than, a lot of guys around. He just he just was able to play a very long time and played consistently. So let's give him credit for it.
Yeah, that reminds me of Ted Williams. Ted Williams was like that. He was a great hitter, but would you put him in for defense to relieve? No, not at all. He can wear the same uniform every day for the whole year because he never.
I get it. Now, Ted Williams is a tough one. The guy lost 2 different sets of his career to World War II and to Korea. So if you add those years in, but Ted Williams was just a great hitter and maybe an average fielder, not much on the hustle, right? And not a big home run hitter. Now, he would tell you years later, if I wanted to hit a lot of home runs, I could have, but I didn't want to. I wanted to hit the ball into play. So whatever. But again, Ted Williams didn't bet on baseball. Ted Williams didn't lie about betting on baseball. And the problem with Pete Rose was his arrogance. Arrogant. And that's why a lot of people didn't like him. That's why a lot of people didn't want to be, his own teammates barely liked him, So, again, there was never a humble part of Pete Rose, even up to the last interview he ever did. And I think people would have responded years ago had he just dropped the lies and showed a little humility. And I think he would have, this all would have went away a long time ago. So,
well, you have to have humility.
Yes.
He never had it.
No, he never did. So, will he get in? I think he will. I don't think it'll be this year, but I do think, and I think he was right. If you ever see his last interview, at some point, I'm sure they'll show it somewhere. But he said they'll do it because they want to make money off of me. Because they all know that if you put Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, that weekend will be a huge weekend. People will come from all Cincinnati Red fans and all the people. They'll fill, Cooperstown will get packed. And I don't
know about that.
Sure.
The average guy, I'm not talking about the kid that never saw him play or never really dealt with him. If you told me Pete Rose is standing around the corner, you want to come meet him? No, not really.
I get it, but if you're a Cincinnati Reds fan, then think about that. Most of the time, that place is packed with people who are fans of the teams that are being put in there. So if you go up there, there's 3 players going in. One's from the Braves, one's from the Yankees, and one's from the Mets. You're going to see a lot of fans from those teams. Not even fans of that player, because most of the fans are much younger, and these are older guys going in. But I think if Pete Rose went in, it'd be historic. It's one of those things that some people thought would never happen, and it'll be historic. It will be.
You
the
might
controversy
be right.
over it.
I just don't see anything about him besides getting a base hit and doing. He just came up too much arrogant and too much in love.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you had a vote and somebody said, hey, Mr. Florio, we want you to vote on Pete Rose in or out, would you vote him in or would you vote him out?
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in there.
Okay, so.
Yeah. Because you could take a lot of players. There aren't a lot of multi-talented players in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
You could count them on
Yeah.
couple of hands.
But there was a lot of guys that, Rick, nobody was more arrogant than Ricky Henderson. I mean, I love Ricky Henderson as a player.
Well, he was
But
full of sugar.
Ricky walked around talking about himself in the third person.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't get much more
you're
arrogant
right.
than
Yeah,
that. So,
Yeah.
there are plenty of guys who are in the baseball, football, basketball, rock and roll Hall of Fame who love themselves more than anybody.
well,
could
that
love
was Ted
themselves.
Williams.
Well, so
Ted Williams was the same thing.
that's my point. So
Even to the day that he retired and he hit that last home run, he would not acknowledge the fans. He said, "Screw them."
right. But
You
yet
know,
when
that's very childish.
when he went to the Hall of Fame, I guarantee the place was packed
I
with
don't know.
Red Sox fans because Ted Williams went into the Hall of Fame. So and today you don't hear any of that. When you hear Ted Williams' name talked about, it's revered. I was up there in '99 when he came out in the golf cart for the All-Star game. And he may have said all that back in the 50s and maybe early 60s, but in 1999, that place was standing up. People were going crazy when he came out on the golf cart. So people have a way of forgetting and what's the right word?
They just hear the name.
Well, they have a way of forgetting all of that stuff, the bad about the player, and making him a figure, a national figure, a historical figure, folklore, and that's what happens. I mean, listen, was anybody more arrogant than Reggie Jackson in his day?
No.
Reggie Jackson got in, and the place was packed when Reggie got in.
And I didn't see the. Now you asked me to vote for him. Never.
Okay, there's a guy who was maybe an average outfielder, struck out more times than anybody, hit 500 homers. He hit the magic mark back in the day. But short of that,
matter.
Do I ever think that Reggie was the best player in the game? No, but the guy won 5 or 6 World Series in his day.
Yeah, but he had 8 guys behind him.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Not a chance. But he leaves the A's. He's the best. People think he's the best player in baseball at the time. He got paid big money. He went over there, and all of a sudden the Yankees win 2 World Series in a row. Do I think they would have won it without him? Maybe. There's a chance. They had really good teams. They were solid with solid team, solid rotation, great bullpen both years. But the bottom line is he did win. So is Bagley back with the Yankees defensive coach for this? I did read that. I have not seen a full article on it, but I did read that Don Mattingly was back. Now, I don't know if that's a spring training thing or if he's back with the team traveling. That's a question I have not seen. I have not seen him interviewed.
I saw that on TV too.
Yeah, not or any articles.
Mattingly and somebody else.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's part of the staff that is the full-time staff, or if that's just a spring training thing.
No, you know what they were talking about, Tommy?
Yeah.
They were trying to get Hernandez and Mattingly into the Hall of Fame. Now, Mattingly, I can't understand. I mean, how you could tell him he had 6, 7 good years, but so did Koufax. You want to go by that stat.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. And I would say this. Don Mattingly for 6 years was the best player in baseball. There's no doubt about it. He was the best player in baseball for 6 years. Keith Hernandez was never the best baseball player in the game. Never. Not even in the top 10. Keith Hernandez was a solid hitter and a great first baseman. Maybe one of the best first basemen I've ever seen. Now, Mattingly was I would say Mattingly was just as good, but if you want to say he was a little better than Hernandez was a little better than Mattingly, granted. But Mattingly was a far better hitter. Far better. He hit for power. He hit for average. There's no doubt in my mind that Don Mattingly is the better player.
And he played hurt.
Yes. Do I think Mattingly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? It's borderline for me. If he got in, I'd have no problem with it. If he doesn't get in, I understand.
I couldn't understand why he wouldn't get into. If you could, what's the criteria for getting into the Hall of Fame? Would your team? Does he have to win a championship?
No, I just think the problem for Mattingly, like I said, for me, there has to be some longevity. His numbers aren't terrible. He's got 200 homers. He's got 2,000 hits. they're not overwhelming. Had he had another 2 or 3 years, I consider the fact that he probably should have won two MVPs, right? But the second one he lost out by 1 vote. Bill Madden voted for Roger Clemens instead of him, and Roger Clemens won the '86 MVP over him. I think Mattingly probably deserves to get in, probably will get in someday. I disagree on Hernandez, but I think you're watering it down to let Hernandez in. He was a good hitter, not a great one. The difference between the two, Frank, is Mattingly was the best player in baseball for at least 6, maybe 7 years. Hernandez was never in the top 10. I'm sorry. Keith Hernandez was never in the top 10. There's a guy who's better than probably both of them, and Dale Murphy. I think Murphy won at least 2, if not 3 MVPs, and Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Dale Murphy was a great player on some of the worst teams ever, and Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame. And his stats are okay. They're not great, as good as I thought they would be. So to me, if they both got in, I wouldn't scream and yell. I think if one deserved it over the other, it's Mattingly over Hernandez. Yes, Frankie, I agree. Hernandez was probably the best fielding first baseman I ever saw. But Mattingly wasn't any worse. Maybe you want to say Hernandez was a titch better. Maybe he played the bunt a little better than Donnie. But Don Mattingly was as good a first baseman as I've ever seen. So I would have no problem,
I
call it even. Again, Frank, he was. You want to say he hit in the clutch? That's great, but a clutch hit. Rusty Staub was a good clutch hitter. Am I putting Rusty Staub in the Hall of Fame? No. You got to be great. If you're not, let's put it this way, guys, it's watered down. So here's my criteria. If you ask me if a certain player is a Hall of Famer, the first thing I'll tell you is, was he ever the best player was he ever in the top 5 players in his era ever? If you weren't in the top 5 in your era, you can't even be considered. That's it. You have to be considered one of the top 5 players in your era. Otherwise, don't bother the conversation. You have to have some sort of rule. So for me, that's my rule. Bill, you're talking about Bill Mazeroski got in for fielding again. They watered it down. Again, I didn't see Bill Mazeroski play. Don't think I know about Bill Mazeroski.
He was a good ball player, but he played on Pittsburgh, and he noted for the home run. That's what Bill Mazeroski.
Right, he noted for 1 home run, and that's not enough to get to me to get you in the Hall of Fame. So, Frank, I get it. There's a lot of guys who don't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm with you. I wish they would go through it, but to me, at the end of the day, the first thing I'm going to say is, all right, George Brett, Hall of Famer. Yes, why? He was the top 5 player in his era. He was definitely in that group for a 10-year period or so. If I lined up everybody he played with and against, he's in that group. Dave Winfield, was he a top 5 player? Yes, 100%. So that's the first thing, and I'm not going to say that Keith Hernandez was in that group. He wasn't. He was a really good player, but he wasn't better than Brett. He wasn't better than Schmidt. He wasn't better than Ricky Henderson. There was a bunch of guys in that era, and I got to line him up against them, and he wasn't better than Mattingly. I'm sorry. That's the bottom line. You love him because he was a Met, and you grew up watching him, and I don't doubt you for it. I like Keith Hernandez. I think he was a good player. Again, if you put in his glove for the Hall of Fame, sure, he was one of the best first basemen I ever saw. But overall, I would not put him in the Hall of Fame. I just would not do it. He was a great fielder. There's no doubt about it. That again. Here's the one guy I think deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, even though he had a weak bat, was Ozzie Smith.
Right.
Ozzie Smith was the best glove I've ever seen.
I agree.
So to me,
shortstop.
He was an average hitter, but boy, oh boy, that was the best shortstop I've ever seen. There wasn't anybody else who I thought was a better shortstop than Ozzie Smith during his career. Gary Templeton was a good shortstop at that time. There were some other good shortstops, really good ones. Nobody had the glove that he had, and it was amazing. Was Hernandez that good? Maybe he was good. I would say he was great. But again, it was not enough. It's not enough for me at that position to give him a Hall of Fame nod. If he gets in, would I scream and yell? No, I would not scream and yell if Keith Hernandez got it. I don't know about changing the game. I mean, yeah, they attacked. He attacked the bunt. He was again a great first baseman and a really good hitter, just not a great one. I don't put him in that category. So for me, I'm not going to ever be convinced. Again, I'm not jumping up and down that Don Mattingly has. I have a bigger problem that Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you, than I do that Don Mattingly's not in. So hold on, Jeff's there. I don't know if he's there. He is.
Hello,
About
Jeff.
time. What's up, Mr. Florio? I'm going to yell at
you. Weren't moving. You weren't moving.
Come on, man. I'm here waiting. I'm falling asleep.
All right. Well, we got you.
I got to listen to this. I got to listen to Frank Catalano, nothing but Met stuff. Come on.
It's all part of the show. You want to weigh in on any of that? Yeah, you were a baseball fan during that era.
Yeah. Listen, I never didn't follow the Mets at all, so I really don't know anything about the Mets other than I remember Keith Hernandez being real famous when they had that Coke scandal for the Mets.
Well, he was actually a St. Louis Cardinal.
I'm not saying it to be. I mean, Dale Bearer's career got ruined. Yes. A couple other guys' careers went down the shitter because of that.
Yes.
Keith Hernandez, I don't know what kind of player he was, to be honest with you, but evidently he rebounded. I didn't watch the National League. I wasn't a National League fan.
But that's why he got traded from St. Louis.
Yes.
He was selling pills.
Well, yeah, when he cleaned up his act by the time he got to the Mets, right?
Correct. Yes, he was. As far as I can tell you, he was. He had already been part of it. There was a big trial about all of that, and he had already been. I think it MVP.
Probably on coke back then.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure it was a lot bigger. They weren't testing for it. Yeah, sure. So yeah, but Frankie, again, I have no problem with it, but I'm.
He's not in the Hall of Fame, Keith Hernandez?
No.
Really?
Neither is Mattingly. No, neither one.
Well, I know Mattingly is not, which is kind of a shame in its own right. But like I said, I don't know much about Keith Hernandez, so I really can't say much. Why, my feelings why he's not in the Hall of Fame. But
yeah, just not quite there. So
let me ask you something. Do you think that teams like the Mets, because they weren't too good at some points in time, and back then, that it hurt players' chances of getting into the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think that's definitely a possibility. I mean, I bring up Dale Murphy again. I think Dale Murphy doesn't get into the Hall of Fame because he played on some of the worst Brave teams there ever were. Right? I mean, you watched.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right. So
definitely.
if Dale Murphy plays 10 years later and he's on the Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz team that went to a bunch of World Series, Dale Murphy's a Hall of Famer today. But because he played in an era where there's no cable TV, till the end of his career, he played on some of the worst baseball teams ever, and he played in Atlanta. And so yeah, Jeff, I agree. I think that if you were, I don't think there were any Mets I can think of right now who were great players on really bad Met teams. I don't know that you could think of anybody who was a great Met, just got stuck. Maybe Seaver.
They were pitchers. Yeah. They had a lot of pitchers.
Seaver, Kuzman, Matlack, those kind of guys, right? They were on bad Met teams.
Oh, yeah. Yankees, look at Stoudemire. Stoudemire.
Yeah.
He won 20 games on teams that lucky. I don't even think they finished 500.
I agree with you. So it can't hurt you, Jeff. I agree.
Well, when you mentioned Murphy, it reminded me. Remember Bob Horner?
Sure. Sure.
There's somebody's career kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. Again, you
started off strong, and then
they had some good players. Ken Oberkfell. There were some good players on those teams back in the day, but they were terrible. And
for years too.
Yeah, for a very long time, and till the mid '90s, and then all of a sudden with Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine and that team. Bobby Cox, they turned that whole franchise around. And
Bobby Cox was the manager of that team when Bob Horner and shit was there.
He might have been, I know Torrey had been their manager for a while, and then he got fired. And then I think you're right, Bobby Cox took over, and had some bad years, and then it turned around later on. But I'd have to go back and revisit that. I'm
But
not
you
100%.
just said it, Joe Torre. He played on some shitty team.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason he got into the Hall of Fame was because he played with the Yankees, and I could have managed them and won.
Yeah, well, again, you listen. We could all sit there and knock him. I mean,
I don't knock him.
I'm just saying. I don't disagree. I mean, here's a guy who managed the Braves and the Mets. And they were some of the worst teams ever, and then all of a sudden he gets to the Yankees and he figured it out. So
Bobby Cox was the Atlanta Braves manager from 78 to 81.
Okay.
And then again from 1990 to 2010.
Okay.
So that was a pretty long stretch.
Sure. So
I just remember him being on a manager of some of those really bad teams.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. So,
I'm going to let you guys
all right, Pops.
go. Jeff, nice seeing you, buddy.
Same here, Mr. Floro.
Say hello to your family for me, Tommy.
Tell Mrs. Floro I said
weekend.
hello. You got to get her on the show one night. Tell her to come on.
Take care, guys.
All right, Pops. We'll see you over the weekend. That's my daddy checks in every week. She's probably yelling at him to get off the thing so she can go to sleep.
Well, she's in bed that early at 7:30.
Oh my God, please. 6 o'clock, 6:30. She's late. Well, she lay in bed. They can't watch the same TV. So she goes in her room and she puts on her shows and she watches, and she'll fall asleep at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And she watches like the ghost stories. But it's funny, like my father watched a ball game and she'll yell at him. So we had one year we bought him headphones, Bluetooth, so that he can listen to the games at a decent level, and it wouldn't bother because she would yell from the other room, "Shut the TV! Lower the TV! Shut the TV!"
Man, I'd get a big pillow, and I don't have to tell you which way that we're going with that.
So you go there, and he'd be sitting there with these headphones with the wires sticking up, and he's trying to watch the ball. She's trying to call him. She's calling him for get me a drink of water, and he can't hear because he's on. It's a whole mess.
The poor men always get the short end of the stick.
I have to tell you, my poor father. So anyway, but welcome in, Jeff. Let's get the show kicked off the right way with Jeff. How was your week?
Well, it was good until I tried to sign on for the show.
I see that. So
then I had some problems.
Yeah, you had a couple of good weeks in a row where you were popping right up there, and all of a sudden we're back to square one again.
Yeah, the best part is I do not understand because this computer, I don't download anything on it.
Mm-hmm.
I use it basically for the show, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even use YouTube on this much. I got an old tablet that I use for YouTube, so I have no idea what the fuck is going on with this guy.
Wow, crazy. Well, listen, as long as you're here now, you're up and running, and we can talk. And I want to get right into the big topic for me this week. There's some stuff we'll talk about Pete Rose a little bit. We'll backtrack on that, but the big topic to me has to be the Giants and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it looks real close that the New York Football Giants are they were all in on Matthew Stafford. What I heard today was that they met the number that that Matthew Stafford wanted. They met the trade compensation that the Rams wanted, and it was all a go. And then I guess the Rams had second thoughts and decided that they were going to work out a deal and keep him. So, now that the Giants had to backpedal, I know what your thought's going to be, but I want to hear it. The Giants now, what I could see is if the Giants are trying to bring in an Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, means to me they do not want to draft a quarterback with the third pick in the draft. They don't like anybody enough. Because if that was the case, you would sign a Carson Wentz like you spoke about this week or somebody like that, draft a kid that you think is going to be your guy, and then you would move on from there. But if the Giants are trying to bring in Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins, to me, the sign says we're not going to draft a quarterback at number 3.
Oh, you're right. They say, but signs also say that they're still going to suck because what are you doing? What are you accomplishing by signing a guy like Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers at this point in time in their career, especially Rodgers at 41 years old? To say he's a bridge quarterback is an understatement. He's not going to be able to do much for that team. And if you're Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, why would you want to go to the Giants other than to prove that you're a money player? Because that you're going to get pounded, man. That's a bad
I don't disagree with you on any of that. Here's what I would say if you're the Giants. You're saying, okay, we need a guy who's at least a legitimate quarterback. And Rodgers, while believe me, not great last year, he still threw for 44,000 yards, 20-something touchdowns. You know, he's still.
I got a comparison right here for you. I brought it up. That's what I was looking for.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you who this was, but you tell me. I'm going to give you Aaron Rodgers' stats, and then I'm going to give you the next player's stats.
Go ahead.
Okay, Aaron Rodgers this season threw for 3,897 yards, 28 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a completion percentage of 63.6. Okay? Okay, not bad.
Not bad. Okay.
Now, they're comparing him to a playoff caliber quarterback who threw for 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 63.0. This man is normally looked upon and said to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Any idea who I'm talking about?
I'm going to guess it's Lamar Jackson.
Josh Allen.
Okay.
Josh Allen. So now, while I understand that Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers were on teams that were completely on different ends of the spectrum and everything, there's only so much that you can say about that.
Yep. Completely right. Yep.
Surprised that the numbers were as close as they were.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming off of the Achilles injury. He's getting, he's healed evidently. I hate that they say that he had some injuries throughout the year. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I would think that's a little suspect in my eyes.
They talked about he had some, I don't know if it was a shoulder.
Some leg injuries.
Some foot injuries, yeah.
You know, and once again, I mean, if you want to know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers, look up Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers on sideline and just look at the face that Aaron Rodgers is making towards Robert Saleh. And to me, he is just a spoiled bitch. And I'm sorry, man. I understand the Giants want to show people that they're doing something. I could get that. Also, I'm sure that he would bring some people up in the right direction. But I'm sorry. If I'm the Giants, I just would not waste the time, because you're going to, before it goes up, even if he does elevate the team, before it takes another step forward, it's going to go down, and it's going to go down hard. If it doesn't go down this year, you really want to base your team on a 41-year-old man?
No, I agree with you, but I have to stay true to the thing I've said from the very end of the season to now, is I want the Giants to have a veteran quarterback this year. I would take a quarterback in the second round, third round, fourth round. You know, if there's a darts there, or I'd even take Ewers. You know, again, I would take a project quarterback in the second or third round, and maybe I think next year's class of quarterbacks are much better than this year's. I don't like Shedeur Sanders, and I am not a big fan of Ward. Now, if they fell in your lap, that's who the guy I'm going to root for. But to me, here's the reason why I would take Rodgers. I agree with you. I heard Danny Dimes to the Colts today. So Danny Dimes is going to get a job next year. You guys are going to be upset. I get it. But
I'm not gonna go. I couldn't give a fuck less where he goes. You know who's going to be upset? Whoever signs him. Because when he's proving that he sucks on two teams.
Then if he does, he does. But if he goes and he has major success, you guys are going to say, I'm sorry, I screwed it up. But anyway, let's get back to Aaron Rodgers.
If Danny Dimes signs on any team and has a top 10 quarterback year this year, I will sit here right now, write this down as I'm saying it, take your phone out and record it. I will go out and buy and burn any Denver Broncos uniform shirt that you want me to.
Okay, fair enough. I'll do it.
How's that?
Sounds good to me. Now, the reason why I would sign Aaron Rodgers is, one, he comes cheap, right? You know, you're going to but wait, let me finish. So, Aaron, you get Stafford. You were paying $55 million a year to Stafford. So,
yes, but you know what, dude? Stafford was younger. He was a few years.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. But let me ask you this: I don't think the quarterback play will mean that much to this success of this team this year, to the point where it says, if Stafford's our quarterback, we're going to the playoffs, but if we have Rodgers, we're going to win 7 games. I think the Giants were going to win 6 to 9, 6 to 10 games at best with a good quarterback this year, no matter what happens, because there's a lot of holes to fill.
I love that I say certain things, and I love that nobody listens to me. Thank God, because then there'd be things being thrown in my face from time to time. I said last year at this time and forward to when the season started that Aaron Rodgers was going to be more than capable of getting 10 wins for the New York Jets, because they won 7 games with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, the Jets went out and won 6 games all season and sucked.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers is not a player conducive to winning at this point in time in his career.
I agree. I totally agree.
And I would have went after Matthew Stafford. If I had a choice, I would have went after Matthew Stafford before I went after Rodgers. But I also would have told him and made it a stipulation in his contract, you need to reel your wife in.
I would agree. Now, again, I would reel in Rodgers too. And again, the Giants did that. They went after Matthew Stafford wholehearted. They made every offer. They fit everything in. So
I think that was all bullshit anyway on the Rams' part. I don't think they were going to let
you're right. You know what, Jeff? You're right. I'm not looking at it from the Rams' perspective. I'm looking at it from the Giants' perspective.
Oh, of course.
So the Giants did everything they could to get the best quarterback available to quarterback their team this year. It didn't work. So I would say, okay, even if Rodgers falls off this year and he's not as good, he's better than most of the bums that are going to be trolling out there. So do I want Joe Flacco? Hey, Louis Pica, do I want Joe Flacco?
Is too old at this point.
Right. So I don't want Flacco. I don't want Wentz. So unless somebody springs up, unless somebody decides to get rid of a veteran quarterback who has a little left in the tank, is Baker Mayfield coming available? No, he's not. Do I believe in Sam Darnold? I don't. I think Sam Darnold, and I said it, his last few games, including the playoffs, was going to make or break his free agency. And again, he shit the bed. So to me, no, I would not take Zach Wilson.
He did shit the bed, bro. Yeah. But you want to know something?
Yeah.
Earlier today, I read an article tying him to the Giants. That's one thing.
Sure.
So I read an article tying him to a $40 million a year contract.
Yeah.
Which I just don't understand.
I agree. So for me, I would rather.
I'm sorry, Sam Darnold.
I would rather, if it's true, I'd rather Rodgers for 1 or 2 years at $1 million a year. Let the Jets pay the freight, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's only got to cost you $1 million, and then you go out and find your quarterback. Whether it's this draft or the next draft, you find your quarterback and spend the money. To me, at number 3, I'd take Travis Hunter. I would take Abdul Carter. I would take anybody who's a guaranteed going to help you. But
I understand all of that, but once again, you got to watch it. You're a Giant fan, and you're so fucking blinded by the thought of just getting a quarterback on that team. It's
Jeff, but that's the thing. Let me ask you a question. So tell me right now, if you were the Giants and you're Joe Schoen, who would be the quarterback that you would say I should get that quarterback this year?
Honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, if I was Joe Schoen, and I was going after a quarterback this year,
okay,
my choices were Aaron Rodgers, okay, and some of the others winners that are going to be out there. Without a doubt, it's not looking good for free agency or whatever. I would call the Falcons. I would give a shot at Kirk Cousins. That would be one. He's younger. You can actually have him start a rebuild and maybe be there to hand it off to the next.
But you're going to hand him $40-something million a year.
Well, maybe.
No. That's what his contract says. You're going to spend $40 million a year on him.
They restructure these deals all the time.
Okay, but he's not going to restructure for $1 million a year.
I'm not saying he's going to restructure.
Okay, so I'm
not saying that at all. But what I'm saying though is you're getting yourself a younger quarterback. I'm thinking this is what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm thinking. Trying to go younger, somebody that you're not going to get 2 or 3 years out of Aaron Rodgers.
No, I know what I want to.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, I wouldn't want to.
Okay. You got to remember something. His last year in Green Bay, he forced himself out. He got injured or else with the Jets after 4 plays, or else he would have been out of there even sooner.
Probably
That's
right.
what he did. He got 2 men fired. Whether you liked them or not, whether you agreed with what they did or not a thing. He cost 2 men their jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now you have 2 men whose jobs, they got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel, and bringing in Aaron Rodgers is I'm not liking that. I would go after Russell Wilson.
No chance.
Hear me out.
No chance.
Younger. I would go after Justin Fields. These are not people that you're looking to do long-term business with. These are people that you're saying maybe 2 to 3 seasons tops, and then you're looking to go the other way.
What have either one of those guys done in the last 2 or 3 years?
What has Aaron Rodgers done in the last 2 or 3 years?
The point I'm making is I don't have to pay Aaron Rodgers a lot of money. None of the guys. Hold on. None of the guys you gave me have even sniffed a Super Bowl in forever.
Okay, you're 100% right.
To me, why do I want to give Russell Wilson $30 million, $40 million? Why do I want to give Justin Fields that kind of money?
I'll tell you why. Russell Wilson has been to twice the amount of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers and has the same amount
of
wins.
10 years ago.
Was Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl?
Again, but you're missing
ago.
the point of mine. I don't want any of these guys for long term. And what I want is to be able to take all the money that they're going to eat up, and I want to spend it on real players. And I want to build my team, or I want to build my team with all that money instead of giving it to a quarterback who I know in 2 years won't be here. So instead of giving Russell Wilson $80 million, I would rather take that money and spend it on great free agents.
Think about what you're saying. How long has Shane and Dable been there?
This would be year 4 or 5.
Year 4. They don't have a player on that team that I would want.
You're wrong. You know what? Dexter Lawrence.
They don't have.
Dexter Lawrence is the best defensive lineman in football right now.
They did nothing to move that team forward. You're looking to get a quarterback for a year or two because he's only going to be $1 million. He hasn't been in a Super Bowl, and it'll be 16 years since he's been in a Super Bowl. Okay, but I would not want him. You're not going to get a rebuild.
I'm not Jeff. Again, I got you. You don't want him. I'm telling you why I want him. It doesn't matter.
But you also, the things that you want, sometimes you wanted to keep Eli when he was way past his prime. You wanted to keep Danny fucking Jones or whatever, Daniel Jones, when it was obvious that the guy couldn't play. He sucked.
And Jeff, hold on, time out. And you were the first guy yelling, "I want Aaron Rodgers," and where'd that get you?
No. I never said that I wanted Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely said on this show, Frank Kennel back then.
I never said that I never
won
said
the Super Bowl.
I never said
you did.
Wait, what did I say?
You said we just won the Super Bowl. You came over with your glasses and your hat. And you said,
I never said
we just won the Super Bowl.
I'm going to be allowed to speak here? I get a lawyer. I never once said I wanted Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets.
Okay.
When they put Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets, then I said something.
Okay.
But I never once ever said I want them to go out and get Aaron Rodgers.
Telling you that as a Giant fan, I don't want Russell Wilson.
And this is why, as a Giant fan, you'll settle for whatever they fucking do.
No, I won't settle.
You want to keep Shane and Dable.
I don't.
But you're afraid to take the next step.
What's the next step?
Oh, well, definitely not going backwards, bro.
It's not going backwards.
These guys have to pick somebody that's going to start doing something. They're gone after next year anyway. You know that.
They're not gone after next year.
Okay.
Again, here's the thing. I don't want a quarterback that nobody else wants. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields were on the same team for a year. They did nothing but lose 8 straight games at the end of the season. They did nothing.
You're 100% right. You know whose fault that was? That was the coaching staff.
Again, I don't want to spend.
When you have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks and you can't pick which fucking one you want to start.
No, because they both suck.
Listen, are they Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks? No. Russell Wilson's best time is behind him.
Way behind him.
All you got to do with Justin Fields is just let him run high school play. That's it.
How bad was Russell Wilson in Denver that they cut him and ate $49 million worth of contract just to get rid of him?
Dude, you didn't hear me say that I want Russell Wilson, did you?
Justin Fields got ran out of Chicago the minute they could get rid of him. Again,
listen, why don't we go back in time a little bit when all of a sudden Justin Fields was the hottest commodity in the NFL?
Not here.
not
never-
there. But when we used to talk about it,
Not-
everybody and their mother was saying Justin
yeah,
Fields, Justin
I'm
Fields.
not disagreeing with you. And I've been saying from the day he came out of college to right up to this moment that Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. You want to say he's a good athlete? I'm all for it. So my only thing right now is there isn't a quarterback out there that I feel is worth $40 million that I want the Giants to pay. I would rather them take somebody who, for a year, I'll take it a year at a time, play quarterback this year, be representative of something. If I could get the same numbers out of Aaron Rodgers, 3,900 yards with 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and I could pay him $1 million next year, I'm all over it. Why? I know he's not my future, but now I can take the rest of that money and put it toward my team.
And your
build things I
general
want.
manager and coach have never picked anybody yet.
Two different
build
problems.
this team on.
Listen, that's two different problems.
But
All
Tom,
I'm-
it's a major problem.
No,
bro.
it's not a problem. That's not the conversation we're
Who is
having.
the face of the Giants organization?
Again, right now, hold on. It doesn't matter who the face of the Giants
it does.
organization is.
Who is the marquee player on the Giants right
Malik Neighbors.
now? Okay, other than that,
Dexter Lawrence, the best defensive lineman in football right now.
best defensive line.
Yes, best defensive lineman in football. It's not even close. He's the best defensive lineman in football. It's bar none. And I will tell you, if he can ever stay healthy, Andrew Thomas is in the top 3 or 4 as a left tackle.
If he can ever stay healthy. So
Well,
already,
okay.
dude, Malik Thomas needs a quarterback to throw him to.
I'm agreeing with you. So all
Okay.
I'm saying is,
Aaron Rodgers is not that guy.
again, I'm not telling you he's the guy long term.
I
Again,
understand that.
I don't even think if there was a better option who was reasonably priced, I'm all in it. Who's that guy? If I don't want to pay, why are the Falcons? They just gave him a 4-year contract and they're looking to eat the money to get rid of the guy. Why? Because he can't play anymore. Russell Wilson hasn't been able to play in years, and he's an arrogant ass.
First of all, Cousins, I was reading earlier that there's a chance that the Falcons are going to keep him.
Very
So
possible.
They're
Sure.
not on a rush to get rid of him. Second
Okay.
of all, any of these quarterbacks that we've just mentioned, okay?
Yeah.
You keep throwing them number 40 million around. If I was the Giants, you would be lucky if you would get 10, 15 million. Some of these guys are not going to be on a team come September.
No, you understand. Here's the problem. Kirk Cousins has a contract right now.
I understand Kirk
So
Cousins.
you're paying. So if
Once the
Russell,
free agents do not have a contract.
now again, if you tell me that my only option is Russell Wilson next year at a $7 million a year contract, okay, I take him for $7 million for you to hand the ball off, throw a couple passes. I don't want to pay a quarterback.
And I understand that you.
I just don't want to pay any quarterback $30-40 million right now because you can't afford it.
Tom, if the Giants general manager and coach sign any quarterback in the league for $40 million a year, I don't care if it was Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, I don't care who it was. With all of the issues and holes that team has to fix and take care of, if they sign any quarterback to a $40 million deal, they should be terminated as soon as the ink is dry.
I agree with you, but that's why I say if all of that's being equal, the Jets have to pay the bulk of Aaron Rodgers.
I understand that too. Aaron
Right now,
Rodgers is the cancer.
Okay, but so is Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is not the cancer that Aaron
No,
Rodgers.
no. He was such a cancer that Denver got rid of him and ate.
I know what they got rid of him.
He wanted his own office in the place.
Yes, I know.
He wanted to go on his own flight. So he is a cancer. Again, I would
not like Aaron Rodgers. Not like Aaron Rodgers.
Again,
Aaron Rodgers. This is what's going to happen if the Giants sign Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Alan Lazard just got released. Devontae Adams just got released. Buddy Hackett, whatever the fuck his name is, Hackett, not Buddy Hackett.
Yeah,
he's long gone. Hackett don't have a job. There's a lot of people connected to Aaron Rodgers that you were not going to want on the Giants.
Again, but you're not. But here's the thing. I said these are the reasons why I would take Aaron Rodgers, and you're not letting me get all my points out. So my points are: yes, you don't have to pay him a lot of money, but I would also go to him and say, you're going to follow all the rules. If there's a mandatory,
he doesn't give a fuck, Tom, because he's
getting
paid $40 million.
Yes, right. So, but here's the part with Aaron Rodgers is his ego. So you think if I were the Giants, and the only way I would sign him would be I'm going to put all these things in your contract. If at any point you fail, I'm cutting you. Think about
He's not going to care.
Sure he is. There's a
He'll
reason.
be on a new team in no time.
Let me tell you something. There aren't a lot of people knocking at that door. Okay, by the time
There should be nobody knocking at that door.
But by the time the season starts, everybody will have their quarterback. Okay. Now, he may opt out someplace. He called the Giants and said, I want to play for you this year. Why? Because he wants to stick it in the Jets' ass, is one. Two, he bought a house here, so I'm assuming he wants to stay and, try to live it out over here. And he doesn't want to go out that way. I think the ego finally said, hey, I can't go out the way I did with the Jets. I want to stick around. Now, is he going to go to the Giants and win a Super Bowl next year? Absolutely not. So, to me, again,
does it make any sense to you as a football fan that this man, okay, is going to want to fucking sign with the New York Giants, a team that was actually worse than the Jets, if you could believe that, okay, worse than the Jets, and may even be in a worse situation overall? It makes no sense to me.
I can't, again, I'm not talking about will he sign, should he sign. All I started this out by saying was, if I were the Giants and I have a chance to sign a veteran quarterback, of all the guys who are veteran free agents, I would sign him because he cost you $1 million. If it doesn't work, I don't care. But that's right. But that's,
I'll say it 18 times. You do not want this man on your team.
Again, I don't care at this moment. I really don't. I've seen.
Then you're like, why would you? What do you say to Aaron Rodgers to convince him to come to your team when you know that you're not going to win?
No.
Why does Aaron Rodgers, with a year or two,
because here's if I was the Giants, I would say, hey, we have some talent here. We need a quarterback. We need a veteran guy in here to try to help the team win or learn how to win. And if you're that guy, great. If you're not that guy and you need to win today and you don't want to be part of the rebuild, no problem, and you go someplace else. But Aaron Rodgers is not dumb. He played in the same stadiums as the Giants. He knows how bad the Giants were, yet he got released by the Jets, and he made a call directly to the New York Giants to say, I want to come and talk to you. Now, it could be a political ploy. I'm not getting into any of that. Whether he'd rather go play for Brady or go play for the Niners or maybe go to Pittsburgh, like Frankie said, could all be true, and it could be a smokescreen. All I'm talking about it from my end of the view is if the Giants have the ability to sign a free agent quarterback, it tells me that they're not going to draft one. And the guy that, if they're going to pick of the guys who are available right now, I don't want to give Sam Darnold $40 million at 4 years. I don't want to pay Russell Wilson. I don't want to pay Justin Fields. I would rather give Aaron Rodgers 1 year for $1 million. And if it doesn't blow up, if it blows up in my face, great. I'm not stuck with this big, huge thing, and I can take all that money and spend it on other things that I absolutely need. You said it. The Giants need a boatload of things, and I agree with it. I'd rather keep that money available. Now, if Shane and Dable waste it, that's a whole different conversation. My only point about Aaron Rodgers was why I would sign Aaron Rodgers, and it was only for the money.
You said it a couple times. I hear you.
So I'm just.
All right, you've said it so much that it's reverberating my fucking head.
I'm just saying.
Like a bell.
But you're taking it to, well, if they save the money, then they're going to waste it. That's not the point.
No.
That is not the point. The only point of my saying was
all I said, I understand when you said $1 million a year. That's great. Please, let's not mention that no more.
Yes.
That's how it's old now. Okay. Here's the thing. It took him 5 games to fracture the Jets. 5.
I know you keep reverberating the same thing in my head. I keep hearing you tell me.
No, I am. This Tommy Blinders. I see. There you go.
No, it's not Tommy Blinders. It's a simple philosophy.
I understand.
That's it.
You're not
I don't want to
spend
spend
an overall picture with this guy.
You're am, Jeff.
A quarterback with $1 million player. And saving all of that money. And
yes.
I understand that because the Jets are paying him because they're fucking stupid.
Yes.
You can come up with a deal like they did with a player of his age.
Well, I would rather do that for
5 fucking games to get the coach fired. It took him less than that to show his disdain towards the coach on a nationally televised football game. And like, you can't have the quarterback doing that. He's a little bitch.
I agree with you.
He's going to get fucking pummeled if he plays with the Giants.
From the day he gets the Jets,
make then.
Again, maybe he will. Maybe he
Oh,
won't.
he will. He will.
Again, I have no idea what he'll do. Again, right now, that's how this will end. I said it a million times. It's just, I think it's a smarter move to sign a veteran quarterback and not draft at the number 3 pick that guy and get a bridge quarterback. And if I'm going to sign a veteran, I got to pick up Rodgers.
I don't remember a draft where it has been more lackluster at the quarterback position than this one is right now.
It's been a while.
Okay.
It's been a while. Yeah.
A matter of fact, I'm going to go one even further. I don't ever remember a draft being this lackluster with any real players after maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to be a rough draft.
Well, there is some depth. There's not a lot of star power, I'd say, coming out of this one. I loved some of the guys at the beginning of the draft. I think now I don't like Travis Hunter because he came from Buffalo. He's a great player, and I would make him a one-way player. Of
course, putting somebody like that on the field both ways is just not good.
I agree, especially at the pro level. I love Abdul Carter. I think he may be a game changer on the defensive line. Wherever he winds up. So there are some good players.
Yeah, but you know what? Abdul Carter, let's talk about him real quick. With his choice of, am I going to get foot surgery now or not?
Yes, that I thought was a little interesting also.
That you got to be fucking kidding me now. That guy might have hurt his stock. I would like to think he hurt his stock because now you're going into it. What happens? What's the problem with your foot? You're a defensive lineman. You got to make cuts and everything else. And you got foot problems, and you're saying him now, week before the draft?
The top few players in this draft, I think, is good. The problem, I don't say it's the problem for the draft. I think the problem for the draft is, like you said, there's no buzz because there aren't a lot of quarterbacks being like after Sanders and Cam Ward. Dart's moved up a little bit. But even he's, they're talking second round, maybe sneak into the first round. Will somebody draft him a little higher? Maybe. There isn't a lot of buzz at the quarterback position, and that always hurts the draft.
No, there's not. But you want to know something? Last year, you had Malik Nabers, who ended up going to the Giants. There was a lot of talk about him at the top of the draft. He was an interesting player. People were like, "Oh, Nabers," well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who is the interesting players?
Shedeur Sanders is probably the most interesting player.
Sanders, and he's interesting because of all of the wrong problems.
Correct, 100%. Which is why I wouldn't draft him.
I'm not saying to draft him. Believe me. Yeah. I think that's a mistake. And I've been watching. Every day I read mock drafts at work every day. Do my own mock drafts. I have the Giants taking them third every time.
What a surprise that is.
Listen. Shut the fuck up.
Here we go.
Second of all,
it
seems like he's dropping.
Yeah, that's
the interest. And then I heard, as far as Dart goes, I heard due to the combine that he had, his stock went up. That he may be one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft this year.
I like the kid. I'm a little nervous. Listen, I always say this: if you like a guy,
why nervous about him? Because I don't know much about him, so I'm asking you. A lot of people are discounting him, but a lot of people saying he did good. Why are you nervous about him? What is the problem?
See, the thing I like about him is he has a lot of the good makeup. He does have a good arm. He moves well. He fits the system that the Giants play. I think he would do well. He didn't play against a lot of great competition. He didn't do, and then some of the great teams he played against, he didn't play really well against. So, you kind of worry, well, was he held back by his teammates? Was he just not quite there? If the Giants drafted him, I would have no problem with it.
At 3.
Again, here's the problem. Like, people say, well, I would take him at number 9, but I wouldn't take him at number 3. Why? If you like him at number 9, why wouldn't you? Now,
when it comes to the draft in the NFL, we may disagree on where Rodgers and everybody else, but I'm sure you're going to agree with this. Everybody is worried about what everybody else thinks.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay? So, 100%. And we've said it before on this show many, many times. If that's your guy at that pick, then you have to take him, because if you're picking number 3 in the draft, regardless of whether it's the Giants, the Seahawks, or whoever, you're number 3, you're picking the number 3 pick. If that's the guy that you want, he may not be there at number 35.
I agree with you. I could agree with you more.
You got to take him right now. That's your chance.
I agree with you. Now, if you're the Giants and you like Dart and you're going to take him and you feel, okay, if I could trade back to 10, 11 to 12 and still get him, okay, that's great. But you're taking a chance at it. If you like him and you're stuck at 3 and he's your guy, and you take him at 3 instead of 13 or 15 or however far you can fall, then to me, then you do it, and you got to live with it.
Total hypothetical situation here, okay? Total hypothetical, but we got to bring it up. You're the Giants are number 3, and we're just having a conversation, and you're saying that if they like Dart, they should take him. Agreed. You should take him if you like him. But can you trade down to 4? Because maybe the team that's picking 4th, and regardless of who it is, we're not basing it on today's draft order.
Yeah.
They already have a quarterback, so they're not taking them.
Right.
And then the next team, well, their quarterback, they've been in a rebuild. They got this guy. It's his 3rd year with them. He's getting better. They're not going to take him. So now I could go from 3rd to maybe 6th. Let me see if I get the 6th guy to fucking swap up with me, because he's not going to take a quarterback either. And so, I mean, they got to be smart.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to know. But then again, you never know. Look at what happened with Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Signed the deal, and then they went and they fucking took that other kid.
Which made no sense, but the kid dropped to where they wanted. They didn't think he was going to drop there, and they wound up taking him. And that's the philosophy I take. Like when it happened, I was like, why would you do that? You just signed Kirk Cousins.
Everybody and their mother said that. Why would you do that?
Absolutely. And if you're now looking back, I don't know if Penix is going to be a great player. We'll see. If it turns it to be a great move, we'll find out.
Tom, I got to run to the room real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you've been listening to Hard Rock and Sports. That's Jeff and I'm Tom. We're having some fun here tonight. We don't always agree, but we do have fun when we don't either way. So thanks for tuning in and keep alive. We'll talk a little baseball while Jeff's away. We'll do Yankees right now. We'll get to Mets in later on. Again, same feeling about the Yankees that I have every year. There's enough there to probably win the American League East. There's enough there to get into the playoffs, maybe go to the ALCS. But, Stanton again, out. TJ LeMahieu, out. Here's what I want to hear out, that they're out of the team. At some point, Steinbrenner's got to cut bait and call it a day. Now, I know Stanton was the one guy, had a great postseason. When he's healthy, he plays well. The guy can't stay healthy. I would cut both guys, let them move on, and bring in either some other talent, bring up some players, whatever you got to do. But we play shorthanded every freaking year. I think we'll see what Goldschmidt brings. I love Austin Wells behind the plate. We'll see if he has a good year. I'm hoping at some point we could see Spencer Jones, and Dominguez has to play well and left. I mean, this has got to be it for him. I don't know if you could survive moving Bellinger to left field and putting Dominguez in center. I think you're a better outfield with Bellinger in center and Judge in right. Keeps a little wear and tear off of Judge, and Bellinger's a better center fielder if he stays healthy. Dominguez has to learn to play. You're a young 24-year-old athlete. Learn to play the position. We still have a hole at third base. He'll being out 3 months hurts. Hurts my fantasy team because I kept him, but that's neither here nor there. But pitching wise, the Yankees will find a way. I think the staff. I love Fried. Cole's going to be back and be Cole again. Hopefully Clark Schmidt improves on last year. I think Rodon will be better this year. So I think if for a pitching staff and a bullpen standpoint, the Yankees will be fine. I don't know about how well they'll hit right now. We'll see. We need a big year to Goldschmidt. Wells has got to improve. Volpe's got to continue to get better. Who hits leadoff? The Mets. Oh, we're bucking Jeff's back. Let's get back to football again. I got some other. Maybe let's see. I got a couple other things on the thing. Maybe we'll switch off football for a little while and come back to it. Jimmy Johnson retired from Fox. I don't know if that plays into your
80 or 81 years old. He retired.
Yeah, he's been doing it I realized he didn't. I did not realize he's been doing the Fox thing for 31 years.
Yeah. How? Man, wow.
Well, think about it. He was the coach of the Dolphins in Marino's last playoff game or last game ever, maybe. I think that's.
Yeah, you sure about that?
I'm almost. Yeah, he was the coach.
I thought Bob Greasy went to the end with Marino. No.
Shula, you mean? No, it was. No, Don. Oh, Don.
Not Shula.
Yeah, no. No, he was gone. Jimmy Johnson was the coach. I remember watching the game in Hooters with my old football coach, Joe Bartelli, and his brother. And the Dolphins were in the playoffs, and they got completely crushed. And Jimmy Johnson was the coach because everybody thought that he was going to come over there and turn that team around with Marino as a quarterback, and it didn't. I would bet money on he finished up Marino's career. So I'd have to kind of
he was a Dolphins head coach till 95.
Yeah, so I think Marino's last game, if I'm not mistaken, is mid-90s, 93, 94. Can you have that up on your screen? You want me to look it up?
I'm looking it up right now. Dan Marino, and he's 63 years old, Dan Marino.
Okay.
He was, as a player, he was a Miami Dolphin until 1999.
Okay. So, oh, wow. So
I didn't think he was that late.
Yeah, me either. That's weird. So he wasn't the coach for
I do
Marino's
remember that
game.
last playoff game, though. That was almost sad.
Yes, they got crushed like 40-something.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
But yeah, so Johnson was there. So who was the coach of the Dolphins when Marino retired? That's a good question. I'd have to look that up later.
It might have.
I'm not sure.
Hold on, let me see.
Maybe Catalano's out there. You can figure it out.
Hold on. Let me ask Siri, see if she knows. Siri, who was the Miami Dolphins coach in 1999?
There you go.
It's just, she doesn't help. She doesn't tell you.
Okay, hold on. I got Gemini that is great. Let's see. Who was the Miami Dolphins coach in 1999?
Jimmy Johnson.
According to the information available, in 1999, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins was Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, so Johnson was there.
Was with the Dolphins in 1999 as assistant head coach. Dave
Wonstadt. Because Dave Wonstadt was Wayne Stott.
Wonstadt was the assistant coach and then took over right after that.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, in 1999, Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino got rousted in the playoffs, and they both walked off into the sunset.
Dan Campbell was the the coach of the Dolphins.
I think he was like an interim coach for a year. I think somebody got fired.
2015. Joe Philbin got axed in 2015. Yeah. Dan Campbell must have finished off the season like
and then he got fired and he moved on somewhere else. So I do remember that. But so Jimmy Johnson. Listen, I was the only coach for 10 years in the league, a little more than 10 years. I think he took over the Cowboys in '88, and then 99 was his last year. Again, won 2 Super Bowls. Was a good. Rebuilt 2 teams. I never thought he was a Hall of Famer. He was a good broadcaster. Brought a lot to Fox. I enjoyed watching him, and he just retired. So I just wanted to kind of get that out and mention it. Jeff, I gotta tell you, this is the first year that I didn't watch the Combine at all. I know you're not probably a big fan of the Combine. I just, for the life of me, I was watching a few highlights that came across my phone on social media, and I'm saying to myself, like, what do I care if a player in a pair of shorts and sneakers can run in a straight line with nobody in front of him, 4.3 seconds in the 40? Like, what does that show me? Like, I understand how fast he is, but how many times on a football field does a guy get the opportunity to run 40 yards straight with nobody in front of him that he doesn't have to run over, run around, avoid? To me, it's that whole thing is the biggest waste of time.
It is, and I definitely understand your issue with it. But I also think that, you know what, it provides entertainment. Okay. And if you're a coach or a general manager of any team, it doesn't matter. Don't have to be the Giants, Jets, or whoever. And you're watching a wide receiver and you're like, this guy just ran the 40 in 4.2 flat,
right?
4.2. Okay. Now you're right. Is he ever going to run the 40 like that again in his life? Probably not. But you know what? He just proved that he has speed. Is it speed that maybe he's ever going to accomplish using on a football field, no, there's a better than 50-50 chance that I say he will, but it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. I understand how you feel and what you're saying about it because it's true. Okay, a lot of these guys are doing things that'll just never translate to the ball field. It shows their athleticism. It shows that they do have speed, and they have to do something to separate some of these people. Every year, there's a guy that comes out of nowhere, and nobody heard of him. Nobody knows him. He got invited because the fucking NCAA owed his school a favor. So he comes from West Bumblefuck, Acorn State University, Southern Mississippi, Louisiana region. And he comes and he runs the fucking 40 and 3.9. But he's 5'3" and weighs 145 pounds. And then they talk about him. Like, this is the most talked about guy in the combine. You had to see him. Yeah, but he has no NFL shelf life. He's never going to get drafted.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he was in a Division 17 school as it was. You know, Wagner College is a powerhouse compared to them. You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
But it gives people something, and
I guess
it does hurt other people's stock when it happens.
No, I get. I think it hurts more people than it helps, and I think the reason is because 20, 30 years ago, when there really was no internet, and you weren't seeing a lot of the smaller schools on TV. You weren't seeing these guys. I can understand. Then you had the combine because I never got to see West Texas El Paso play. So you bring in a couple of their better players, and they run some routes, and you get to see them catch the ball, and they get to see them run. I think it's different nowadays with the internet. You can watch every play from every single player in college if you want on any given Saturday. I mean, they're in the New York region without any special packages. I can watch 20 to 21 football games on a Saturday.
Of course.
Not forget about during the week when you got games on Tuesday night and Thursday night and Friday night.
It's almost overkill.
Yes, it is overkill. So to me, back in the day, I can understand the combine because there was a lot of guys who would fall through the cracks that maybe if you're lucky, you went to go see a powerhouse team and the guy was playing across from them. But then it made sense. But to do it today, where again, like I said, you can watch any single team, every game from the comfort of your house, even as a scout. So to me, I think the combine is useless. Other than maybe you getting all these guys into place and you're getting to have a conversation. You can have more of a conversation with them. You can talk. You got to get a feel.
You also got to think too. This is a place for all of the general managers, scouts, and everybody else to be in one spot at the same time. They're talking other business.
No, I agree.
That fills in the void because the NFL is basically an 11-month of the year sport.
100%.
Basically, take the month of July off before the busy season starts.
Yep.
And then everybody goes, and they have to have something.
That I agree with.
To the other.
That I completely agree with. I get it's an event. You're getting all eyes on the league. I get it, but I agree with Louis. See, Louis said I saw a list of top 20 linemen who did the most 200 reps of 225, and only 5 of them turned out to be successful. So that's my point. You can go, they do these pro days now, and the quarterback goes out there and he's playing in the air conditioned stadium. He's got no pass rush. Nobody's covering the wide out, and he's making these passes, and it's a fool's errand. I mean, think about it. Guys like Zach Wilson got drafted in the NFL because he made 2 or 3 passes in a pro day. I mean, at some point, you got to go. I want to see the guy play in a game against football players. That's the meaning. That to me is the most meaningful thing that I could ever see a football player do is play in a football game. Anything else to me is you and I can go out there and we can look spectacular throwing a football to each other.
Zach Wilson is a horrible, horrible example of somebody.
I agree, but I'm saying this.
But I know what you're saying. But he was also up in the air as it was.
No, I agree. But
took the chance. They took a chance on him, and look what happened.
But based on the fact that he was in shorts and a T-shirt, throwing to a wide open guy with nobody putting pressure on him, he got elevated from maybe a 2nd or 3rd round pick to a top 5 pick in the draft. So to me, I think the pro days and the combines are just days where the NFL gets a little more TV presence, and it's maybe a good chance to sit down and talk to the kid. Maybe, I like when they make the kid to do the chalk talk. I sit there and say, run Robert Wright, 27 pivot, 32 XY cross. And he marks it on the board and he says, this is what I do. And this is, what would the safety do? That to me, okay, now you learn if the guy's a student of the game or not. That I understand.
Here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about this. We're each playing Madden right now.
Sure.
By the way, did you make it through a full season of Madden?
Oh, yeah. I'm already into my second. I've already built the team forward for the second season. Now,
Okay,
yeah.
so evidently you go through a draft.
You can, yeah. You go through a draft the whole bit, yes.
Okay, all right, cool to know. Thank you. Because I'm about to make the playoffs. I think I got 1 or 2 games left in my
So you figured it out?
You figured it out for me. You started.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. Now, here's the thing, okay? That cannot translate to a video game, what you just said. But you want to know something? This kid coming into the league after throwing a 70-yard pass or running the 40 and whatever translates to video game stuff. Nobody watching a video game is ever going to ask this kid what all of that you just said means. Okay, people that play the game, the video game, don't even know what it means and wouldn't be able to tell you what it is. Okay, and while you may understand it, and that may be something that you're looking for, football smarts. What is the guy like? Is he stupid? Is he gonna fucking? I don't know.
But then they've had people do that.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah, there's been some guys who go out there. I watched the last year's, and there was a couple guys. The Giants brought in a couple guys in to talk about what they were talking about drafting some of the quarterbacks, and they went through the progression. Write this formation down, write these plays, tell me what this could change it to a boomer, change it, and I think that's useful when if you're sitting there and you're saying, do I pick this guy or this guy who played the same position? You go, well, this guy came in and he was able to, we can see he's a student of the game, and this guy's not. But the other stuff, like Louis said. Mike Mamula was a big defensive end for Boston College, and he did nothing in the pros. And again, he goes in, has a decent combine. He throws up, 50 reps on the 225s, and he does some standing jump of 48 inches. And next thing you know, they think he's going to be this great player, and it turns out he's not. So I just think the combine is useless.
It could happen, and the combine is only good to a certain extent.
Yes.
Okay, because nobody gives a fuck who's picking 15th in the draft. Okay, so maybe the combine helps the first 10 guys because now
you're right. Yeah.
Let's say that you're number 5 in the draft, okay, or number 3 in the draft, whatever, and you start talking to a couple different guys. You bring in 2 quarterbacks and some offensive linemen. Meanwhile, somebody else is like, who they bring? We want the tackle. And now maybe you get somebody interested in your pick because of who you're talking to off on the side. You know what I mean? You just never know. Like the mindset, it's a chess game because you want a certain player, but you're picking after me or before me or whatever the case is, and I want to get more picks or whatever. Oh, fuck him. I'm just going to go talk to him. I'm going to bring him inside. Let him think that I'm going after him. Because now you're going to panic and maybe you make me an offer. You don't know how some of these deals get made. You just never know.
No, I listen. I agree with you. I think from a
after a certain point, though, nobody gives a shit where you pick. You pick 17th. Nobody wants that pick.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I just think that if you're using the combine to scout a player, you're too late. To me, you've seen him at his best, at his worst on the field. The best you could do is maybe pick between 2 players, having the chance to interview them and talk to them. Maybe from a quarterback standpoint, you can, you're talking to a guy and you ask him to design play, even some, getting an idea of a guy's football smarts. I think that's important. But for me, I can't see myself watching the combine ever again. Like to me, it's just a dumb idea, and pro days are even worse. So we'll see.
Well, you know what? It gives these people sometimes it gives them a chance to sit and talk to them a little bit more. Watching them play is one thing. I watched you play Madden.
Right.
Okay. Look what happened. Twice. Look what happened.
Here we go.
Okay. If after talking to you.
Yeah,
I could say that I would not draft you.
Sure.
I would not draft you.
Rockin' Sports, Jeff and Tom. Shooting the shit, giving each other crap all night, which is what we do.
I wouldn't want to give it to anybody else, though.
That's right, man. So there's some stuff that's happened lately. Some cuts. Joey Bosa was now released as a free agent.
What the fuck? But you know what? After reading it, I heard that he's been injured the last couple of years.
Only played 28 games the last 3 years.
Yeah. So,
but he did have 72 sacks at this point in his career. So even missing 3 years, the guy's productive. The problem for him and his brother is they have a problem staying on the field.
Yeah,
that's a huge problem.
He's also 29, I think,
something like that. He'll get another chance.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. He ain't going to be the number one dude, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, but he'll get a shot. And what he might turn into is like the third defensive end, like third down pass rusher. Maybe instead of putting him out there and trying to get 60 plays out of him, maybe you get 25 high energy plays where you get a couple third downs, a couple of obvious second down pass rushes or a first down pass rush, and then you get him off the field for a few plays.
He's definitely going to be on a team next year. And who knows, maybe he even gets re-signed by the Chargers.
Yeah, it's possible too. The other guy, the other one I saw, there's a few I'll bring up, but DK Metcalf has asked out of Seattle, which I understood. I mean, first off, the kid Najimba got most of the passes last year. They just released Lockett. And I don't think that from what I saw last year, and I kind of got to see a lot of Seattle Seahawks games, it doesn't seem like him and Geno Smith are on the same page. It's almost like Geno said, I've grown up and you need to, and the kid hasn't. Now, he's a big-time player, but I think his best days are almost behind him now.
Is he number 2, Tom?
Yeah, he's an easy number 2. He could have.
He's a number 2, and they're going to look to trade him as a number 1. They're going to be looking for payback as a number 1.
Well, because he has been their number 1 up till last year, maybe to this point. So right now, I don't think he wants to stay there and be their number 2. Yes, they're going to try to trade for him as number 1. To me, teams like the Cowboys, there's a lot of teams that could use a guy like that. He's just going to have to come in knowing that he's not going to get that next big deal. Like, he's not going to go someplace and say, give me a new contract and I want wide receiver number 1 money. He's not that guy. He's never been dominant as far as I can say. I would take Lockett over Metcalf too, Joe. I'll be honest with you. I would take Tyler Lockett over him.
I remember watching a couple Seattle games with Metcalf, and man, was he able to produce. But yeah, these are games to 3-4 years ago. And I mean, the guy just was a phenomenal player then. I don't know what he's like now. I haven't seen much of him. And another one in the same division is Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
that's the move, man.
And well, he's gone. He's in. Was in Washington now. He's in Washington now.
Yeah. That's right. But he wanted to move, and it's like, but why these people they want to leave these teams? I mean, okay,
it's the money. They don't want to be paid number 1 money.
Maybe now. I mean, he just went to a team that made it to the fucking NFC Championship, and they're young. They're a young team. Yeah.
Now, again, I think that the Skins got better. And by the way, there's a lot of talk about the Skins bringing back the old helmet, but the question is just I think the big question is, what are they going to call the team? Could you put the Redskin logo and still call them the Commanders?
Maybe they could misspell it and call it the Comanches.
Yeah. That's actually pretty
that
good.
ought to piss some people off.
Yeah. What's funny? I was reading, I think, Phil Mushnick's column, and he was talking about this stuff. And he says, I'm glad they got rid of the Redskins and the Indians, but keeping the Blackhawks, the Chiefs, and somebody else is okay. And I said, well, I kind of get the idea why you think the Redskins are a bad thing, well, even though it was never meant to be a bad thing. But what's wrong with calling the Cleveland Indians the Indians? Like, what is derogatory about saying Indians? I mean, that's what people call them, right? The indigenous people, they call them Indians.
They are. They call them Indians, Native Americans.
Yeah. So I didn't understand why are the Indians considered a derogatory term? I understand, like, they had that character that I have on the hat that I have, that people said that was like a drunken Indian and made them look stupid. All right, let's say that was out of line. I don't agree.
Yeah, but you know something? How could you say it's out of line? It was a caricature.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more.
And I
Obviously,
understand a character from a different time.
right. And again, I don't know why I don't agree with it, but I understand if you want to bitch about the character. But what's wrong with Indian? Like if a team named the Indian, what is wrong with why is Indian now all of a sudden considered a derogatory term? That's the part I've never been able to understand from anybody. So yeah, I mean, I just don't understand it.
And if you're going to say anything about the Atlanta Braves, what is Braves?
So supposedly those are okay, but they are talking about bringing back the Redskin. And I got to tell you, if you're Washington, I'm curious if they polled enough Washington Redskin fans, going back and, there's 10 million of them. Great. If you polled them, how many of them want to bring that uniform and name back? I'd be curious to find out, because to me, if you grew up a Washington Redskin fan, I never met any Washington Redskin fan who ever said to me, I love my team, but I wish they would change the name. Never heard it.
Listen, man, I don't think the name should have been changed in the first place.
I'm with you. Hey, Matt, I agree with you. I think if you took DK Metcalf and threw him in the pile of players, he's a number 2 receiver at best. He was so big and so athletic that people just assumed he'd be a great player. I got to be honest. I think he got stuck with bad quarterbacks, but I don't think he is that great a receiver. I've seen him drop way too many passes, and not be in the right place. So, I'm with you on all of that.
He when I looked him up earlier,
DK Metcalf,
I don't think his stats were all of that. I think he only had one 1,000-yard season or something like that.
Last year he was under 1,000 and had 5 touchdowns last year. So I don't know about
I'm
that.
Look up his stats real quick.
I wish Frank Jeffries I'd like to get a little history on the end of the Marino and Jimmy Johnson era. I wish Frankie was around to get into that with us.
Okay, here we go. He's been in the league since 2019. Okay, he had 900, 1,300, 967, 1048, 1114, and then 992. Touchdowns 7, 10, 12, 6, 8, 5. So his touchdowns were a little bit on the decline. His targets, the 2 big years he had was 2020 and 2021. Well, no, in 2022, 141 targets. But his catches went from 90 to 66 to 66. So, he's tailed off a little bit. Yeah,
I would say, again, you get to be those big guys. They just don't keep the life. And Matt, I agree. Hey, Matt, Nick, when it comes to Joey Bosa, would you I would love to have him on any team, but maybe as strictly a third down guy, right? Or a guy who plays a few plays a game instead of being a full-timer. I think he's taking too much of a beating, but I still think he can get to the quarterback. 72 sacks in his career is pretty good. So what do you think about Bosa getting released? I thought the Christian Kirk trade was interesting for me from getting out, leaving the Jaguars. I thought that was interesting. There was a couple other things. The Jaguars cut Evan Ingram, Josh Reynolds, Kevin Duvernay, quarterback Ronald Darby. A lot of changes in Jacksonville with new coaches. A lot of changes coming up in Jacksonville, Jeff. And trying to think what else.
I'm just trying to look up Joey Bosa's stats if I could get them.
Yeah. Also, the Bengals gave Trey Hendrickson the permission to seek a trade. So that's an interesting. Let me ask you. We were talking about Rodgers for so long. Where does a guy like a Davante Adams fit? If you're a team, you got your number 1, your number 2. Do you bring in a Davante Adams to kind of finish up his career and maybe be your number 3 receiver? Do you think he could be better than number 3?
He might. I mean, listen, he's still going to be a threat. And I read earlier that Green Bay may be interested in him.
Interesting. Going back
Where does he fit in Green Bay? They have a bunch of young guys over there.
They do, but that's the thing. So you have a decent team. I'm not a super fan of the quarterback. I got to be honest. I've said it from the first time they traded him. I know they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs a couple of years ago. He had a great time with it. But yeah, a guy like Davante Adams, I think if you're bringing him in and he had the right mindset, and you said, hey, you're going to be my number 3 guy for sure. Maybe sometimes you'll be number 2, and I need your veteran leadership. I think it's a great move. But if you're bringing him in to be your number 1 or number 2, I think it's a big mistake. They say may both
I'll
make no sense
disagree
for
with
him.
that.
Joe Clo, Trey Hendricks is a good player. He's only 29 years old, and the problem for the Bengals, they just can't pay everybody. Yeah, I just can't see. Frank, you talking about for Bosa going to Denver, or you talking about Devontae Adams? Who do you see going there? And Matt, are you still a fan of the combine? Because we've been knocking the combine. At least I have. I think the combine's gotten more and more useless every year. Not at every game is on TV, and you can satellite every single team. Matt, if you're still there, what's your thoughts on the combine? Do you still watch every single day of the combine? I know you're a maniac.
Listen.
Matt's waiting a couple. I think he's a couple weeks away from the UFL starting. Adam's going.
They didn't start yet.
No, I think it's the end of the month. I think they're just around the same time as baseball started. Frank, Adams could be a good help there. To me, if he's got the right attitude and he's willing to go in there and be like the third receiver, be the veteran in the room and mentor the team, it's not a bad. He showed he could still play at the end of last year. I mean, he had a good. I picked him up, so I was happy. He had a great end of the year run. And Joe, yeah, I think the combine's a waste of time. So is the pro days. I think it's all a waste of time. So. Again, Hard Rocket Sports at Jeff, and I'm Tom. We're here every Thursday night. We'll be back next Thursday night for another great show pre-St. Patty's Day.
Next week is St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, actually a week from Monday.
Week from Monday, yeah, that's right.
Yes,
right.
Our show will be in suspension that week. I believe I will not be around that week. So, but we'll see. We'll see. It's not a definite yet. We may do a remote show. We'll see. What else we got on the thing? Again, we'll finish up with the Shedeur Sanders stuff. Jeff said it before. It seems like his stock is dropping. I've heard him down as far as the Jets at number 7.
Yeah.
Some people say, here's the thing. Well, he's an accurate passer. He's very athletic. Here's the knocks on Shedeur Sanders. He holds the ball way too long, takes way too many hits, thinks he can make every throw. And not that he doesn't have the ability to make every throw, but sometimes you got to throw the ball away. Sometimes you got to duck down and run. Sometimes you got to give up. And
listen, when he gets hit a couple times on the pro level, he'll learn those lessons quick.
Yes, and I agree. But the problem I have with him is the circus. I don't want the circus. Nobody should. The problem is every time he gets questioned by the coach, if he doesn't start a game, what's going to happen, Jeff? They're going to call up Daddy Dion and go, Dion, they didn't start your son this week. Or Dion, such and such a team beat up on your son. And then you're going to get Dion piping in. I think most teams are going to shy away from him. I will not be surprised if the top 3 players in the draft are not Sanders and Cam Ward. It would not shock me if the first 3 players in this draft are Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and somebody else before you get to the quarterbacks. It would not shock me.
I hear you. But
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it would shock me. It would shock me.
NFL has already proven many times over that, the quarterback position is the most valuable position.
Absolutely right.
And that somebody will take anybody. And if they think that guy is going to be a winner for them, they're going to take him. Because everybody's going to panic because they don't want to be the one known that let so-and-so get away. Although I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. Some of these guys just ain't going to make it. I mean, still go back to the year that Sam Darnold was picked. And Josh Rosen, or whatever his name, Sam Rosen, Josh Rosen, the most polished NFL-ready quarterback in that year's draft. He's probably not even on a practice squad at this point in time.
I would tell you that there's a chance you could see Hunter, Carter, the kid from Michigan, Will Johnson. I think there's a chance that the running back from Boise State can jump into there. And then, you haven't even started to talk about I think there's a chance that both of these quarterbacks could drop and drop far. You got to remember something. The Browns are gun shy. The Giants are gun shy about taking quarterbacks that early in the draft. The Raiders, with Brady doing a lot of decision making now, there is a chance that they could skip on those quarterbacks. I think everybody in this draft, there's about 4 or 5 guys who are no doubt pro football players, could go early in this draft up front of the quarterbacks. Joe, would I trade up if I was the Giants? No, because I think you can, unless you're so convinced that Travis Hunter's your guy, I think it's just too expensive to move up. I think you can get, if you're the Giants, and I can come out with either Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Johnson, one of the offensive tackles. If I could come out one of those guys in this draft, and I think you can, I would not trade up to number 1. I would be more in favor of trading back if I were the Giants than trading up. Jeff, would you be in favor of the Jets trading up in this draft?
Tom, I'm in favor of the Jets getting a good player in this draft, wherever it may be. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel like. Is an impact player going to fall to them at 7, or are they better off in a draft like this, trading back and getting, what are they going to get? An extra second rounder? They're not going to get something that's going to set the world on fire. You're not getting another first rounder. You're picking 7. If there's nobody for you to pick 7, what makes you think that there's somebody else?
I would even take the kid Warren out of Penn State, the tight end. I think he's the next generation of Kelsey and Kittles. I think he's that good. So to me, I wouldn't take him at 3 necessarily. Now, again, if he's my guy, he's my guy. But if I were the Giants and I could trade down and come out with any kind of those players, I would do it. But I would tell you, Joe, yes, I am. I'm always afraid of a guy who's injured, especially defensive lineman, offensive lineman. They put so much pressure. I mean, they all do. But those guys, it's constant battling and you're constantly jamming your feet into the ground. So, of course, I would be a little nervous of it.
You're talking, think of this, Joe, and Tom, too. When you're talking about a defensive, offensive lineman, you're talking to close to 700 pounds hitting and pushing one another. They're not fucking babying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want that guy to be 100% intact.
I would tell you if somebody said to me, who do you want the Giants to take at number 3? It's probably Travis Hunter. I think he's a no-brainer. My only fear of him is I don't want him to come in with the thought process he's going to play both ways. To me, he's a better corner. I think the Giants have a better need at corner. Could you put it in where you said, hey, in a couple of spots, 2-minute offense, this, that, and the other thing, I'm going to put you in. You'll get some spots, but you're going to be my starting corner. I think that's where I would put him out on an island. I think he's that good as a corner. So if I had to pick a guy to come out of the draft with, that would be the guy for me.
Let me ask you something. You get a guy like that on the Giants, right? And you're saying that you would take him out once in a while and let him play receiver.
Yeah.
Everybody would know that the ball's pretty much going to him. Like if they see him coming out on the field, it's not somebody that you're going to surprise anybody with.
No, but it's not that. It's just to put another option. So if he's out there and they're going, well, you got to throw the ball to him. Now you got Malik Neighbors running around. You got guy. You have other players. So
no, I hear you, but like when all of a sudden he comes out for the first time, everybody's going to be keying in on him because they're going to be like, okay, here it comes. It's the first time. You know what I mean? Just like when Tebow used to come out. He used to come out for the Jets every once in a while, run a stupid ass fucking play, but you knew where the ball was going. It wasn't too hard to beat it.
Oh, 100%. No, 100%. And Frankie, I do like the kid from there too. I think his name is Loveland. I think I like Warren from Penn State better. I think that guy is a beast. And I would definitely, if I was a team that needed a tight end, I think he would be fantastic for the Jets at 7. I think that's a perfect pick for the Jets to get some toughness at the tight end. I mean, I can't remember the last. Mickey Shula is probably the last great Jet tight end that I could think of. Was it Anthony Beck? Was a decent player.
You know who was a great tight end for them until he got hurt was that fucking kid Keller.
Okay.
He was a very good tight end until he ended up his knee got fucking destroyed. I think he went to Miami and played like 1 year, and then that was it for him.
Yeah, Joe. If I could if Abdul Carter I knew was 100% healthy, I would be just as fine. I don't think it's as big a need for the Giants with Thibodeau, with Burns, Dexter Lawrence. But you saw this year. I mean, Thibodeau lost a couple of games. We lost Dexter Lawrence at the end of the year. And to me, the more pressure you could put on a team, bringing guys and getting to the quarterback, the better your secondary looks. And the Giants secondary is not looking great. So I would have like I said, I'd have no problem with it. I'm honestly telling you guys, really pay attention. There's a real good chance that those two top quarterbacks that everybody's talking about could drop and drop far. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just telling you,
I think there's too many teams that are going to need a quarterback. They're not going to let them drop far, those guys, man.
Maybe you're right. Listen, the Raiders need a quarterback. The Giants can use a quarterback.
You got to hope that the right teams let them drop.
The Browns are desperate for a quarterback this year. I mean, right now, who's the Browns starting quarterback?
I don't know. And what's his face isn't going to even be ready till.
No, he just tore his Achilles again, so he's out till who knows when.
Look at this now, this fucking thing.
What's the matter?
Now my speakers are acting up on the fucking computer. I'm ready to fuck this.
We got 9 minutes. Let's try to make it through.
No, I don't mean for the night. I just check the computer and speakers in one shot.
Oh, gotcha. So this draft, that's a great question, Joe. His stock has really. I like him a lot. If the Giants came out of the draft with him as their quarterback, it would not hurt me. I just think if the Giants are going to take a veteran guy, a real veteran guy, I think then they're not looking to take a quarterback early in the draft. If they don't sign anybody draft day, and they've signed Tommy DeVito, who's about to sign another contract, and I think that's just to have him on the team, and they go sign Jameis Winston. I'm just throwing a name out there. To me, then there's a chance you could see the Giants draft a Dart or somebody, or Cam Ward or somebody in that position. I think they don't want to do that. I think they want to sign a veteran. And if Dart was there in the second round or third round for any reason, which I don't think he will be, but if he was around a little later in the draft, I think the Giants would jump on it there. But I don't think the Giants want to draft a quarterback at number 3. I think they're doing everything they can to draft, a surefire, no doubt player in that spot. So that's my observation from sitting in New Jersey. So we shall definitely see. But
I will tell, and it's not too far away, man.
Oh, let's see, number 1, the kid from.
Well, let me guess who that might have been.
Yes. Yeah, he's throwing his name around again. Listen, Frankie, I will tell you, he had a better year than I ever expected it. We'll see what year 2 brings. That's all I can say. But no, I do not wish the Giants drafted Bo Nix. Bo Nix is worried that he's on the Doge roll of Social Security overpayments. They're worried that he's been paid over
34.
Yeah, that he's been getting 3 checks, 3 years of checks too late now. So no, I don't want Bo Nix. But yeah, I think this draft's going to be fun from the standpoint of there's a lot of good players. I don't think you're going to have the surprises like last year, 6 quarterbacks in the top 10. I don't think you're going to have any of that. So I think there's going to be a fun draft. If you do your homework and your research, people, you will see some really good players out there. The kid Genty, whatever his name, the running back, I think he's from Boise. That's a really good player. He's been compared to Saquon. If you're a football fan, the kid Will Johnson, I think it's Will Johnson. I think his name is Will Johnson. What's his name? The corner, I think he's out of Michigan, is a really good player. It is Will Johnson, the quarterback. Okay. So there's a lot of really, really good players in this draft. So I think if I did say Danny Dimes is better, and at this point he still is. So we'll see. Well, Danny Dimes will be a quarterback in the league this year. What team he winds up with is going to be an interesting free agent. When does free agency start? It's got to be next week, right?
The 12th or 13th.
Yeah, that's coming soon. So you're going to see, people are releasing guys right now. People are trading guys, and everybody's setting themselves up for the frenzy. And we'll see. There's going to be a lot of, where does Sam Darnold wind up? Does he wind up back in Minnesota, Jeff? I think he doesn't wind up back in Minnesota. I think they're going to go to J.J. McCarthy and maybe keep a Danny Dimes there as a competition.
That I can see. I think I don't understand. Sam Darnold goes out and sucked for how many years?
Sucked for Sam for a lot of time, yeah.
Plays one season, 3/4 of the season pretty good, and then starts to taper off, and people are already saying he may get $40 million a year. That's insane.
Yeah, no, but again, it's the nature of the beast because there aren't a lot of great quarterbacks, and I agree with you.
He's not a great quarterback.
I'm with you. I don't disagree. I said it in the end of the season is those last 2 or 3 games. Like he had a couple of bad games in the week 4, 13 and 14, and I said he needs to have a great finish, especially in the playoffs, and then he can get himself a 3-4 year deal, $40 million a shot, and now. Those last couple games were putrid, and I think he's going to have a hard time getting that big deal. Now, do I think he gets a deal? Yeah, I just think he might get like a 3-year, 1-year guarantee, $40 million a year, and he's going to have to earn another year of that because I think people are going to be very cautious on giving him a big – because you're right. He's had one, let's say, really good year, almost great this year, and everything else before that was not very good. So,
well, listen, I'm going to look him up real quick, and I know that none of it is good.
Yeah, no, everything prior to this year is not good. So, but where does he wind up? Where does Jameis Winston wind up? Where does Kirk Cousins stay where he is? Where does Aaron Rodgers go? You got 2 guys who are free agents in Pittsburgh, and Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. When does Russell Wilson run out of opportunities? There's a question. The Cena turn heel.
I can't. What's that?
Frankie's asking a wrestling question.
A wrestling question?
Yeah, Frank Catalano got a wrestling question there.
What about it? What about Cena?
He just turned heel at one of the events. It was the big deal.
Yeah, just one that just passed. I think it's disgusting that they have The Rock and John Cena at their ages, still involved with wrestling at the level that they are, but it's bamboozled people to the point where they don't know what's happening with them. You know what I'm saying? Like what's going to happen with them? And John Cena, I don't want to say the guy's pushing 50, but he's got to be up there.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now. John Cena is 47.
Well, he's pushing 50.
Yeah. See, my problem with it is almost comes off as too gimmicky. I know it's I know it's popular, but if it's that popular, why do you need Cena at 47 to come back to turn heel to push it? To make a buzz. Like, why does The Rock, who's got to be in his got to be close to 60? No, how old is The Rock?
Oh, he's not 60. He's got to be in his 50s. He's definitely in his 50s.
Dwayne Johnson.
Look him up too.
Looking him up right now.
Rock. So he's 50.
52. Okay.
He'll be 53.
Yes.
53. He was born in 1972.
Yeah, again, I agree with you, Frank, and I think that's why they turned him heel, because it was starting to fade a little bit at that point, and they needed a boost. So, well, I agree with you. Maybe it's still popular. I don't doubt that it is. But why 47-year-old John Cena turning him heel at this point? Why is that the big storyline?
You know why? I got one for you, maybe.
Why?
Okay. Well, Joey Cloak just wrote, The Rock, Cena accused The Rock of sabotaging his career. Cena goes out and wins the title at WrestleMania. Let's say that happens, okay?
Right.
What a better way to get rid of him and The Rock by having them fight at the next pay-per-view after that, whatever it is, or when they build it up. Let them fight for the title. Let The Rock win, and then you can have Cody Rhodes come back, or whoever your next guy up is, and then take care of The Rock. Beat The Rock. You can have, what's that kid? Man, with the tribal chief. What the fuck is his name?
Oh, Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns come back in and beat his uncle. You know,
Yeah,
wrestling is so fucked up the way they come up with.
no,
shit.
I agree with you. I just, like I said, to me, I think Cena was a great character and a great wrestler and had his time. But to me, if the big buzz at wrestling's got to be John Cena turned heel, I just I'm to me it's not causing me to run back and watch it. Now I will tell you, every Sunday night on A&E, WWE Rivals, they got a whole bunch of WWE stuff now, short half hour, 1 hour shows. This week it was the Rivals were Mr. T and Roddy Piper. It was a great episode. They also did a Decade of SmackDown. There's some really cool old school wrestling stuff on Sunday nights on A&E. I think it starts at like 6, 7 o'clock. They play some reruns, and then they get a couple new episodes. If you get a chance, guys, and you want to keep up with it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
But
But
Frank,
it's not
here's the thing: the new wrestlers now, nobody knows them unless you're following wrestling. I don't know half those guys.
Yeah, I would agree with Jeff.
But I know Cena and I know Hogan and I know The Rock and I know a bunch of these other guys. You know the names.
Yeah, I think when wrestling was at its peak, you didn't have to follow wrestling all the time to know who the big wrestlers were. Everybody knew. Like back in the 80s, you knew Hulk Hogan whether you watched wrestling or not. My mom and dad knew Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and all those guys. In the the late 90s and all that, everybody knew who Stone Cold Steve was and The Rock, and they knew them because they were big names. Nowadays, to be honest with you, I like Jeff said, I know a few guys.
Wrestling doesn't have the personality that it once did. It lost its mystique. It's lost its allure.
Yeah,
and they need these guys
to
try to draw people in.
100%
to see some other stuff. I mean, listen, one of the biggest characters in wrestling now is Dirty Dom Mysterio. The guy looks like he weighs about 160 pounds. And he's got that stupid ass mustache, and you just want to slap it off his face.
I don't even know who it is, but Joe, here's the thing about the wrestlers. I mean, if you watch
you disagree, but you watch wrestling. We don't.
Yeah,
that's Frank, the thing. We don't know these guys like you do.
Yeah, Frank, I tend to agree with Jeff more because, like I said, even when I wasn't watching wrestling, I kind of knew all the people. I knew everybody who wrestled. It just kind of filtered into your life. It just doesn't filter into my life anymore. And I really do find it very boring wrestling now. I don't like, and I think it's just, I've said it before, and it's stupid, but it's so crystal clear. I long for the grainy kind of
sterile. It's too sterile.
Yeah, it's just and it's too much talking, and then they'll beat each other up for a minute, and then one guy jumps out of the ring, and then they're gonna, and it's all to me. It all just turns into, it's all about getting to WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or a Survivor Series. Back in the day, there was a lot of wrestling and the stories built into those events. Now it's, let's not get hurt. Let's just do a bunch of house shows where we yell at each other, throw each other around for 30 seconds, and we jump out of the ring, and we keep doing that, and we have the big finale at the next big event. To me, that's what I see when I see wrestling now.
You're saying that Dom is supposed to look like Eddie Guerrero? Eddie Guerrero was built like a little tank. Dom looks like a fucking string bean. And Dom looks like he's on the fucking sexual predator list someplace, man.
Frankie, I don't disagree with you on some of the wrestlers being lame. I just like the wrestling was better. To me, I know the guys are better athletes today. I get it. I honestly do. But I think the technical wrestling part, to me, was way better back in the day than it is now. Now it's about how can I jump off a ladder, onto a table, through the table, onto a bed of nails, that explode on.
Never mind that. Think of this match, right? I know some of the mob wrestlers' names. So let's say that you got Seth Rollins versus Dirty Dom.
Right.
Okay. It just sounds like, all right. But years ago, when you had wrestling, Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Randy Macho Man Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts versus the Ultimate Warrior. Yes, some of the cartoon things were kind of cartoon character-like, but it was like, what is that all about? Why does this guy have that name? Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy. and Bam Bam Bigelow versus the Head Shrinkers or something stupid like that. It was the names. Now it's just like Jeff and Tom versus Joe and Frank. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jeff on this one, Frankie.
You need a little something. These guys have to have a little bit to them.
And Frankie, I would say I'm still a huge wrestling fan. I watch old wrestling all the time, whether it's these, A&E shows or Peacock has the whole thing. Every once in a while, I'll break out an old WrestleMania or even just a Saturday Night Main Event that was a big card or something. I'll go back and watch them. And I still love wrestling. It's not the question I don't love wrestling. I just don't like what they've built it into today. I think Jeff's point of it being too sterile is a really good point.
But Frank, you say that now, but I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
Say that wrestling is more popular now than when Hulk Hogan was out, when Triple H and The Rock were in their prime, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I would argue that also. I would
know.
say when you had millions of people tuning in on a Saturday night in the 80s and 90s to some of these events was huge. I mean, back in the day, everybody watched WrestleMania. Everybody. The idea, whether you're a wrestling fan or not. I watched the first WrestleMania I've watched in 20, 30 years, a couple of years ago. Would I watch it again? Only if my kids were over and they wanted to watch it. Short of that, I can't think of a reason to watch. I'm not knocking it today, Frank. I'm sure it's really good. I'm sure the attendance is good. All of that's fine. I don't knock it at all. I think they do it. For me, I just say it just doesn't attract me. I think to Jeff's point, the characters don't draw me in. I don't get drawn in by, man, I got to watch this match. I got to see these two guys wrestle. There's a buzz to that for me.
They're not, for the most part, they're not characters anymore.
Right. No, you're right.
Just names. And it's like, something is missing. Something is missing.
Yeah, again,
I remember one time me and Tommy went to go watch wrestling at Susan Wagner High School. And they had the wrestling match out on the field, on the football field. And I remember Ivan Koloff was at that match. He wrestled.
Yeah.
Remember Ivan Koloff?
Sure.
And I remember Ivan Koloff coming out. Okay, they introduced him. He came out of the back or wherever it is he came out of. He stepped out. Everybody cheered. He smiled, and then he immediately got into character. So whatever that man was, he came out. He was like happy that like people acknowledged him and everything else. And then next thing you know, he's like, like with the he used to act. And it was like, okay, he just switched characters. But he was like happy to be there. But he had a job to do, and his job was not to be happy.
Yes,
he was a Russian bad guy, and he had to be that way.
And I just think that for me, to me, it was something to buy into the character. Again, I don't feel like I'm buying into it anymore, and I just feel like it's all about the big events. When you watch the weekly shows, it's just them building up to the next one, as opposed to having real wrestling matches, which is what I enjoy.
Isn't WrestleMania, Frank? Isn't WrestleMania now a 2-day event?
Yes, it is a 2-day
Saturday,
event.
Sunday. And when you pay to watch WrestleMania, or however you watch it, that's how long it's been that I watched it. Do you get both nights, or do you only pay in to watch one night?
I believe you get both nights. I did it. I did watch it 2 years. Huh?
What's the charge for an event?
I want to say it was $49.99.
That's it?
I'm almost positive it was $49.99. Yeah, I don't specifically. I don't remember being $100. It could have been $79.99. Let me take a fast look before.
I mean, I don't know, but I wouldn't have been shocked if you said $75.
I'm going to look it up. Mania cost.
And Frank, as I know that back then, years ago, man, some of the characters, they were rough, man. Like the Red Rooster, and some of the characters they were rough without a doubt. And you were supposed to believe that, then they're not pay-per-view if they're free. You're paying for the channel. You're not paying for the event. You know what I'm saying?
So let's see. WrestleMania 40 prices. Well, if you had Peacock,
that's what he said. It's free if you have Peacock.
If you create free, if it's Peacock, if you have the WWE Network, it's $9.99. Or you're free. You got that right. Yeah, I don't see the cost otherwise. I remember I might have had it for free because I think I had Peacock, so I don't think I actually had to pay for it.
Mike, 22 more months, Mike.
Hey, oh, Mike, thanks for tuning in.
22 months.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't think we had enough time to get through the night show. I didn't do a lot of work this week on the show. I kind of had a lot of things going on, but boy, oh boy, we're at 9:10, and we could probably keep going. But I got an early start tomorrow, so we're going to end it right here. Jeff, great show. This is exactly the way we write them up, man.
Yeah,
Good
no,
job.
I hear you. Oh, Tom, they're always fun, bro.
Absolutely,
They're
100%.
more fun when we argue over something. But
Absolutely. Frankie Katz, Mike, Joey Cloak, Matt, everybody, thanks for tuning in, guys. We really do appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys coming back all the time and listening to us shoot the shit. So, but it's been great. So, guys, Jeff, anything on the agenda coming up? You got any shows this week? Next week?
Yes, man. March 16th.
Okay.
Middle-aged delinquents at the Rock House for the Rock House first year anniversary. I believe we're going on at 5:30, 6 o'clock, something like that.
Okay, very nice.
See you later, Joe, and watch out behind you. Dirty Dom's coming up behind you, man. Be careful now. Got them predator eyes and that predator stare.
Hey, I did see an advertisement for the Rock House where they're having a Blondie tribute band and a Ramones band called the Ramones. Did you see that?
Yeah, yes, I did.
And that has nothing to do with you guys, right?
Well, we are the Ramorons. They
Right.
are the Ramones. But I will tell you this much. There is only one. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Is there any? I haven't heard any Ramoron news in a while. Is there a?
Good for you, Mike. And no, nothing right now. Nothing right now. But, you know, that's what it is, man. When a tiger is laying in wait, you never know what's going to happen.
It's very true. So, all right. Well, so the 16th at the Rock House. Yeah, make sure you get out and see the boys. I will be out of town, unfortunately, but Jeff will be ready to entertain you next weekend. Is this a St. Patty's thing or just a Rock House?
Just a Rock House birthday. I'm sure it'll have a tincture of St. Patrick's Day in it. But me, I got to work that day, leave work, run out there, play.
Oh, that's a Sunday, right? That's a Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's all right. I like having fun.
You'll do it. They'll do it with a smile on your face. So good for you. Middle-aged delinquents at the Rock House. So make sure you get out and enjoy those guys. That's a good band. At least some people think it's a good band. Maybe not everybody.
Not everybody. Some.
Not everybody, but some do think it's a good band. So make sure you get out and see it. I know that a good buddy Jimmy Galicchio and his band are out at Doc Hennigan's this Saturday night, I believe. So get
Yes,
out.
I believe yes.
So get out and see my good buddy Jim Galicchio, who we just got to see a couple weeks ago and jam with. So go see Jimmy and his band at Doc Hennigan's, wherever that may be on Staten Island. I don't know where Doc
On
Hennigan.
Forest Avenue. That's a few minutes from me.
Okay.
Not even 5 minutes from me.
Okay. So get out and see
You
Jimmy.
know, I would love to say that I go see them, but I'm laying on the bed watching TV by 4:30. You know?
You ain't gonna tell me how hard it is.
You know,
Most Saturday afternoons, I'm on the couch, feet are up, and I go, I'm gonna do this tonight. And come 7, 8 o'clock, I'm still got the feet up and I'm still watching TV and I'm still snoring sometimes. So no, there's not a lot of that for me. But listen, for everybody, the summer's coming. It's almost springtime. So we'll get some better weather and hopefully a lot more times out of the house. In the meantime, we're going to end this show right here. So, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. Come on back next Thursday night when Jeff and I get together. We do this all over again for 2 more hours with the Hard Rocket Sports Show. So for Jeff Tolwinski, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, we say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday night. Have a great night, pal. Talk to you tomorrow.
You got it, bro. Be good.
See you later.
Later.
I'm going to end the stream first. Hold on. Cancel that. End the stream.